Alright, hello again, and welcome to the tutorial for the alternate Norfair route. It's variously known as Norfair, high jump first, middle ice, maybe even something else, but unimportant. The fundamental point about this is just that there's a lot of information about this route that is not really collected in any one particular spot. There's been a lot of conflicting information that's been put out, a lot of stuff that's been theorized, it's been timed, it's been retimed, and it isn't all really in one good place. So it can be very, very difficult for anyone to really have a good idea of whether or not this route is actually worth doing. So whether or not it's worth doing, it's very, very situational. Very situational. So I'll get started because this part of the route is mostly the same while I start talking about a little more about what the route offers. The biggest advantage of this route is that it removes the need to go through the heated room above Ice Beam early, so you essentially have one additional E-tank for all the rest of Norfair. So what does that actually mean? Well, it depends. It means you might be able to not heal somewhere that you have been healing. Maybe if you were previously healing at high jump, maybe you don't need to do that anymore. It sometimes means you might be able to go from healing to not healing at all. It may just mean that maybe you don't heal a different number of times, but each thing is more consistent for you, so you're not going to die as much. It really, really depends on the person. So that's not the most helpful information, I know, but get this guy out of the way so he doesn't kill me. So, but basically, you have one additional E-tank for the rest of Norfair. That's the main advantage to this route. But so this is where it actually starts diverging from the traditional route. You have to do the spark up to get up to here. There's a few strats you can do where you don't get this immediately with the other route, but you have to get it right now for this route. So the first thing to do is to just, when you're falling down here, line yourself up with the edge of that block. So you're right on top of where this guy is. Easiest way to do it. Because then what you're going to do is you're going to run through here and just break these blocks and head straight down. So this is a room that's a little weird without ice. With ice, you can just kind of rush through, shoot, and kill the guy and have no problems. But as you just saw with this route, that doesn't always work because we don't have Ice Beam. So what I personally would advocate for doing is just doing a small jump through the door and shooting, not the block, don't shoot the block. Small jump through the door, shoot that guy. You could also decide to just do a small jump after the door like that. Either of those strats works. You're sacrificing a small amount of time for way, way more consistency. I really think that that's worth doing. This room is all going to be about the same. So nothing particularly different here. Only thing to note here is that there's two strats for this. There's the traditional missile shot strat. I never liked that quite as much. I prefer using the charge beam. Honestly, it's just one fewer. Interesting. It's just one fewer input. I find it a lot easier than the missile shot. But whatever works for you. That's not any different from the normal route. Here, something to note right here. If you're trying to skip heals, you should be a little conservative with your missiles. So what I personally like to do with this route, and this room rather, is to just start shooting 4 missiles at about a moderate pace, and then a 5th one diagonally down to kill that guy. So something else you can do, if you're not concerned about ammo, just spam missiles and it won't really make a difference. But that's more or less what I do. And then this is about the same. You can do the shine right there, the spark across here. It's not hugely important if you get it or not. This is all the same, but notice my health. I have almost 3 full E-tanks here. So with this route, you're probably not ever going to be doing much worse than 350 health at high jump, which is really, really good because you more than likely will not need to heal here. So I am going to just go right past it. It doesn't matter. I mean, you have a huge amount of leeway here, so you can afford to screw these rooms up really badly and still make it. Oh no, I missed. Oh, I got hit. Ah, I got hit again. And again, dude. Oh, again. Bad pattern. Yikes, I lost a ton of time. I screwed up the bomb jump. I screwed it up again. And dude, I'm still through there safely. Like, you just have so much time. It's always worth using your supers on that guy with this route. Small note. If you're trying to skip a heal, you have a ton of options to get super drops, so it's not that important. I'm going to actually grab that just to be safe here. Then this room's minorly different. Actually, I want to talk about this room a little bit, because you don't have Ice Beam for this room, and Ice Beam lets you freeze rocket rippers in place. So if you want to get through this room properly, you should definitely be aware of what can happen. Fortunately, there's only really two things you need to be aware of, and it's really just your first jump. The way I do this room, you should only ever get hit once in this room, no matter what pattern you get. So what I do is, I'm going to frame advance this real quick. Well, slowly, but what I do is I look at the pattern of that guy right there. This very first guy just above the... Is my mouse cursor showing? No. Let me fix that real quick. Okay. Hello? There we go. There we go. This guy. I check which way this guy is going. This guy can be going left or right. If he's going left like this, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to either jump here on top of the pillar, or you're going to want to jump out here. One jump straight from the floor will take you either here or here. If he's going that way, you're going to want to... it's going to be a little awkward. I'll just load the save. If he's going left, you're going to want to do a big jump. So, like, yeah. I'm sorry. If he's going left, you're going to want to jump onto the pillar like that. Come on. Now he's going right. There we go. Big jump onto the pillar, jump and morph off the pillar so you get damage boosted off that guy. Or there are a couple of different things that can happen there. You sometimes can get damage boosted off this bottom guy. Sometimes these guys will be going left and these guys will be coming to the right, in which case you're going to want to react to that and kind of go down further on the right, and you can avoid getting hit. It's very reaction heavy, this room. Just the important things are the pattern of this first guy and the pattern of this last guy. I'll get to that later. So if he's going right, do a big jump and you'll get damage boosted off that top guy. So, and then this last guy, sometimes you gotta wait for that guy, and if you go reasonably quickly, you won't get hit by him. So, not hit. I'll wait a second to get a different pattern. And sometimes he's going right and he's no threat to you whatsoever. But that's very much a room that you just have to kind of get a feel for. It's worth just save stating it and going through it a couple times just to get a feel for that strat. But yeah, no refill glitch. But that's okay. So this you might heal here, you may not heal here. If you're not healing here, then what you're going to want to do is farm these rocket rippers for super missile drops, and there's not really a quick way to do that. You might just wind up doing something like this. It really depends on what the pattern is. Oh But also be aware of your health, because they deal a lot of damage, 30 damage each time. So if you're trying to skip the heal, definitely be aware of your health coming out of this room. You would want it to be about 160, 170 at a minimum. If you don't heal, then you can just kind of jump through the room with screw attack and not really worry about... Or I'm sorry, if you do heal, you can do that. If you don't heal, farm the enemies, be careful. Oh, this next room might be a little different. Normally, what I used to do anyway revolved around Ice Beam. I would do something like this. Do a big jump, and then shoot that out. But that doesn't really work without Ice Beam. So what I wind up doing is big jump, and then... if I could ever do it properly. Big jump, left, right, and then unspin when you're even with that wall. Left, right, yeah, come on. Big jump. Yeah, big jump. There we go. That's what I wind up doing. Something else you could probably do, just something that's the same thing. Just big jump, go all the way to the come on. Big jump, go all the way to the right, and then just something like that. There's a couple different variations on that. But at this point, the route is going to be more or less the same. If you're not at 4 supers at this point, then it's not really a huge concern, because there's a lot of opportunities to get a super missile drop. I'm not covering Money Spark in this tutorial because that's the same, and in my opinion, it's not really worth doing. So this heated room down here, actually I want to mention this a little bit. This heated room takes, at best, about 150 health. If you do the room very, very well, you will probably get out of it taking about 150, maybe 149 damage. So in an ideal world, you'd want probably closer to 200 health for this heated room. If you heal at screw attack, that's not a factor at all. You can see I've got 4.5 E-tanks here. So that's just something to be aware of about this room. But this room's not really any different. You're going to be just going through using missiles and screw attack to make your way through here. One small note, it is faster to grab this missile early. It's not a huge deal, and it's not specific to this route either. It's just something that I wanted to mention, because I'm not sure that it's actually been documented before. But this is more or less how I do this room. Pretty standard stuff. At this point, if you haven't healed, it's worth being a little more conservative with your missiles, something like that. Oh, actually, let me re-enter this room real quick. Because there's a strat a lot of people do that doesn't work. Like, you can't shoot a beam to open the door and then morph with this route. You have to do it with a missile. Yikes. Yikes. Okay. Yeah. Can't do it. I don't do this strat if it wasn't really obvious. That guy is also getting really in my way. I just want to show this off like once, just so you can see what it looks like. Alright, whatever. But basically, the gist of it is you just do something like that and go in. But you can't really do that unless you use a missile, so I just kind of do this and then break this open. It's not hugely important. Make sure you collect the drops from that side hopper if you don't have 4 supers, because he's reasonably likely to give you a drop. And then same on the way out. And if you're still not at 4 supers at this point, it's not actually a gigantic deal. There's still plenty of opportunities left compared to the regular route. And then, forgot to make another save state. Another thing to mention about that last heated room takes 45 health to get through. So you need 46 minimum. So be sure to be aware of that if you're trying to get by without healing in Norfair. But as you can see, since I've healed, I've got a ton of health, and it's not a big deal at all. But I'll be at 0-0 by the time I get out of here. See? Caterpillar. No, Caterpillar's insane. Maybe collect the drops if you're short, but be mindful that this one does 20 damage. So if you're really low on health, he could conceivably kill you. Alright, E-Tank. This is where the route gets really interesting. This is really the crux of this route, is doing this next bit of action. There are 2 approaches here. You can either try for the Spark, which is the fastest way of doing it, or you can do the easy strat. I'm going to show the easy strat first because the easy strat is what I would recommend for most people, especially newer players, because the easy strat is really only about 2 seconds slower than the really fast strat. But the easy strat, get the missile, go straight out. Straight out, just go straight up. Get this missile. This is very important. Getting that missile and then taking the ball cannon up. Then the next thing you're going to have to do is go up here to this heated room, because we're going to be taking the any % shortcut down to Ridley. And this room is actually kind of different because you have high jump and screw attack. That's kind of how I do it right there. It's not hugely different, it's just a little different. And then one of the things about this room is with some well-timed with some well-timed jump extends, you can skip ledge grabbing. It's not a huge deal, but it's something to be aware of. This room is a little similar. You can save a tiny bit of time by having screw attack and wave. This room is free, just wall jump right up it. If you jump properly, you can skip a ledge grab there. This, I personally like to do this strat. I find it to be the easiest way of doing it. Actually, let me go back real quick. There's another thing you can do with this route, because you have so much health at this point. Just big jump into the acid, big jump out of the lava. Works totally fine. I haven't actually timed it to see what's faster or not, but okay. And at this point, this is where it's a serious divergence, so we're going to be taking this shortcut here. Okay. Just like we would in any %. Just it's a little different because you have high jump and screw attack. So just fall right down here. And then get the missile tank from the left side like that. It's a tiny bit faster. And then now we're basically done with the route. You basically just go through the vine room, fight Cocoon, and you're in Ridley. So now, if you want to do this whole last bit the really fast way, you need to set up a speed boost here. So there's 2 different cues you can use for this. There's a visual cue that Sam found. Basically, this little lump right here, as long as Samus's back foot is somewhere in this little lump, the first and second frames of the speed boost are the ones you want to hit to press down. Because what you're going to want to do here is not what I just did. What you're going to want to do here is very similar to what you would do normally, but you're going to want to do that. Crouch and store your Shine Spark so you break that first block. Because what you need to do with that is drop down here, collect the missile block, or the missile tank, shoot out the missile block, and then spark straight up through this speed boost block right here. It's the same speed boost shortcut that we used to get out of Norfair after exiting Ridley. So, and then the other setup is the one that I use. It gets you in the same exact spot every time. I just do a little jump to line myself up with this wall right here. But with this one, the second and third frames of the speed boost are the ones you want to hit to press down. Play around with both, see which one you prefer, or just do the easy strat. It's not a huge deal. So let me show this to you at full speed. It looks kind of something like this. It's a lot to do in the... Whoops. Yeah. It's a lot to do during the Shine Spark timer. But I'll go over the backups for failing it after I show you the route. But you have a lot more time than it seems like you should. That spark is very definitely something you'd want to practice. If you're doing it this way, don't get that missile tank yet. Provided you don't screw up the spark. If you've done it properly, you're going to just go straight to Ice Beam. And then this loop right here is basically the same as it is in the easy approach. This is all the same, just make use of screw attack and high jump. We'll just do the lava jump here. I don't think that's a big time loss at all. Easy strat. Get the missile tank, please. Okay, so now this is where this route is different. Rather than taking the shortcut, we're going to go down again. And then we're going to do this heated room. This heated room is the same as it would be if you're doing the easy strat. Just it's a little faster with high jump and screw attack. And then at this point, you're going to fall down the main shaft, kind of doing a wavy pattern like this, using the screw attack blocks. And then that's when we're going to collect this missile tank. And then now we're done. So let me go back here, and let me just show you the backups for missing this spark. Because you can do one of three things with this. You can either get the spark properly, which is the route I just showed you, or you can fail to break any speed boost blocks, or you can break speed boost blocks, but not store the Shine Spark. So let me do that scenario first. Break speed blocks, don't store a Shine Spark. That'll look something like this. You get the missile tank, break the missile block, but instead of sparking up, you're just going to go up and take the ball cannon. Don't get the missile, because we're going to do the same fall all the way down. We're not going to be taking the any percent shortcut. So that's really the only difference. That is a very minimal time loss compared to actually getting the spark properly. It's really not a big deal if you do that. But now let's say you screw it up and don't break speed blocks at all. You press down way too early. In that case, you're basically just doing the easy route. Go up here, collect the missile block, and then take the ball cannon up. And then you're up here to go through this heated room. I'll put a timestamp for this particular variation in the comments. Not the comments, the video description. But that's basically it for this route. That's most of the information about it. There's probably a couple of small, tiny little things that are different. It really depends on what you were doing in the past. Some things might be more different than others. Some things that were different for me may not be different for you. It really, really depends. But the real important takeaway for this route is that you don't have to worry about this heated room whatsoever. You will always have full health for it. You'll always have 5 E-tanks. So what does that E-tank mean? It really depends. But this video hopefully kind of cleared things up a little bit and give you a better idea of the strats you would be doing with this route. Hopefully hopefully makes it an easier decision for you if you actually want to bother doing this in runs or not. But that's all I've got for now. I hope the video was helpful to someone, and